So today, let's go over how to safely enter and exit deep back bending poses such as Ustrasana, also known as Camel pose. So we'll go over a couple entries into Camel and a couple of modifications that you can make. So if you are in a body that doesn't really like to back bend, it's not a very back bendy body, and or you have very tight shoulders, using a block for this pose is going to be very beneficial for you, okay? So we'll get into it. Come to a kneeling position, stacking your hips over your knees. And we'll go over the block option first with our first entry option as well. So you'll place your block, you have one on each side, somewhere between your ankle and your knee. Where that is exactly is going to be determined by your body and your proportions. Your body and your proportions are also going to dictate exactly which level of the block you're going to have. Okay, high, medium, or low. So you'll have to play around with that for a little bit and find whatever works best for you. So the first entry that we'll go over is called Dancing Camel. And this just gives your body an opportunity to kind of play with opening up one side at a time. So you'll take one arm back behind you and land on your block wherever it happens to be. Fingers pointing back behind you or down towards the ground, and then take the other arm up towards the sky. So coming into a back bend, what we want to avoid anytime we come into a back bending posture is dumping into the low back. This is heavy, you're dumping into your joints, and it doesn't feel very good. So what we want to be is active and engaged in the pose. So squeeze your glutes a little bit, push the hips forward, and then lift the chest. The sternum lifts up towards the sky as you travel back, right? So now I'm supported and I'm not dumping, right? So lifting up, squeeze the glutes, draw the belly in, lift the chest up towards the sky, and send the arm up towards the sky and or back behind you, whichever you have space for. And then simply flow back and forth from one side to the other is our dancing camel. So come down, opposite arm reaches behind you, and then the first arm reaches up to the sky. And you can dance back and forth between the two. And then when you've had your play and you're ready to take the full camel, simply coming into your dancing camel and release one arm back, find the block or your foot or whatever, and then lift the chest up. Send the hips forward. Squeeze the glutes, draw the belly in, and then you can come out of that. Another option, if blocks are not available for you and or maybe you have a little bit more space, but you're not quite ready to come into it with the top of your foot on the mat, is that you can simply tuck your toes and come to the heel. And then the work is the same. You can dance your camel this way, lift it up, back and forth, whichever feels right. And then when you're ready to take the full version, reach back and then squeeze the chest, the shoulder blades together as you lift the chest up and squeeze the glutes, draw the belly in. And then that's the same entry for two different variations, hands on the heels or hands on a block. Another option to come into the pose is from seated on your heels. So you can do this with blocks, with the toes tucked or without, whichever you have space for in any given day. So bringing your hands back behind you and grabbing whatever you want, but your hips are low, right? So my hands are on my heels, maybe on a block, whatever. And then start to lift the hips up, send the hips forward, squeeze your glutes, lift the chest up. Take your gaze back behind you. And there is your Ustrasana camel. Shoulder blades are squeezing together, but I'm lifted here. Don't dump, right? Activate the glutes, draw the belly in, lift the chest up. Now, to come out of these kinds of back bends, you don't want to just shoot yourself back up. Be mindful and be careful, be gentle. So release whatever you have. Stay in this back bend and then slowly come out of it. Start to send the hips back and then slowly coming back to neutral, bringing the spine back up. And then the last thing to come back is the head. Okay. So the counter pose for camel is rabbit, but instead of going straight into your rabbit pose, you want to neutralize your spine. That's a pretty deep back bend. So to neutralize the spine, we take a twist. So from this position, simply sit up nice and tall and then exhale, twist to whatever side and then twist to the other side. And there's no hard and fast rule. You can take one or you can take many, whatever feels right for you and your body. Just giving your spine an opportunity to neutralize before taking it back to the other extreme. So now coming into rabbit, taking the crown of your head towards the ground. Okay, so having your face as close to your knees as possible, and then your arms are reaching back behind you, and you grab whatever you can. So maybe it's your heels, but maybe you can only reach your calf or your shin, and that's fine. Release the head down, and then grabbing hold to what you have, lift the hips up towards the sky. There's no weight in the neck at all. Little to light pressure on the top of your head, and just taking your body in the opposite direction. And then coming out of it, returning your hips to your heels and coming back up. So there are some different ways that you can enter and modifications you can take for playing with your Ustrasana camel pose. I hope these tips are helpful for you. If they are, leave a comment so I know, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.